Bon après-midi. When we announced the Ottawa-Ontario deal last March, Premier Ford and I agreed that we would continue to talk about the future of public transit in Ottawa. My request to the province, both privately and publicly, has been consistent: to treat Ottawa the same way as other cities such as Toronto, Hamilton, Mississauga, and Brampton. In those cities, the province pays for the cost of construction and life cycle maintenance of light rail projects. Dans ces villes, la province paie le coût de la construction et de l'entretien du cycle de vie des projets de train léger. In Ottawa, as I've said many times, the city pays costs that other municipalities don't. This has been costing us literally hundreds of millions of dollars. My campaign for fairness has not just been about money, however. It's been about Ottawa as the capital of Canada and the second largest city in Ontario being treated equitably. It's been about fixing a historic imbalance and elevating Ottawa to the same level as other cities. Il s'agissait de corriger un déficit historique et d'élever Ottawa au même niveau que les autres villes. I've had many conversations about that with Premier Ford and his team over the course of the last few months in particular. And I'm grateful that the Premier, Finance Minister Peter Bethlenfalvy, Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria, and others were receptive to his message. They all asked me what would have the greatest impact on Ottawa's transit system. They were clear that they didn't just want to provide a Band-Aid solution for our transit challenges. They wanted to help in the biggest way possible. They also wanted to correct this historic imbalance and provide a permanent, sustainable solution for public transit in Ottawa. The commitment from the Premier today will ensure that Ottawa is treated like other cities in Ontario. L'engagement pris aujourd'hui par le Premier ministre Ford permettra à Ottawa d'être traité comme les autres villes de l'Ontario. This will have an enormous impact on our financial situation, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe more. It will close a significant portion of the multi-billion-dollar shortfall in our long-range financial plan. It will free up resources that we can reinvest in transit and other priorities. Cela permettra de libérer des ressources que nous pourrons réinvestir dans le transport en commun et d'autres priorités. It will also apply the expertise and the scope of Metrolinx to the present and future challenges with light rail construction, while allowing OC Transpo to focus on running and improving bus and train service for our residents. There are still lots of details to sort out, but if this were to proceed at a high level, it would mean that the province would be responsible for capital costs and life cycle maintenance costs for light rail. OC Transpo would continue to operate the service and would have more resources and capacity to improve that service for Ottawa residents. I'm grateful to the Premier and his team for listening and for acknowledging that this is the right thing to do for Ottawa and Ontario. With this announcement, the province has responded to our request and is committing to an outcome that will be an absolute game changer for Ottawa transit users and taxpayers. This is quite simply the single biggest move we could make to address the fairness issue, to improve our financial picture, and to improve light rail and public transit. Again, there are a lot of details to discuss, and we are a long way from a final agreement, but I'm hopeful that this will be a big and historic win for our city. And I'm pleased to see that already other party leaders have started talking about this, and the Liberal Party of Ontario has made a similar commitment to upload light rail and take other steps to support public transit in Ottawa. I'm hoping that the other party leaders will do the same and that it will be unanimous that this is the right thing to do for Ottawa. Merci beaucoup.
We'll now go to questions from the media. J'invite maintenant chaque organisme à poser leurs questions.
Bonjour, Julien.
Bonjour. De quelle façon est-ce que cette entente-là, si elle devait se confirmer, a un impact quelconque sur le partenariat que vous avez avec les consortiums actuels qui font l'entretien du système?
Alors, je ne sais pas tous les détails, mais si le projet est le propriétaire du gouvernement provincial, les relations seront avec le gouvernement provincial. Alors, les relations entre les entreprises qui qui battent le système vont être avec le gouvernement provincial.
OK.
Oui.
Et le premier ministre, si je ne me trompe pas, aujourd'hui a aussi parlé d'un autre projet d'infrastructure dans la région, celui du 6e pont dans l'Est. Vous aviez dit dans le passé que c'était pas une priorité pour vous. M. Ford semble plutôt enthousiaste à l'idée. Où est-ce que vous vous situez par rapport à ce projet-là en ce moment? Est-ce que vous êtes en faveur ou vous souhaitez...
Alors, j'attends les détails, mais ici, il y a des solutions pour les camions sur King Edward. Je suis prêt à écouter ces solutions, mais en principe, ce n'est pas ce n'est pas notre priorité primaire à la ville d'Ottawa d'avoir un autre pont. C'est d'avoir les fonds pour le transport en commun, pour un système de transportation et de transport en commun soutenable ici à Ottawa.
OK. Donc, si je résume, vous n'allez pas vous battre contre nécessairement, mais vous n'allez pas vous battre.
Non, j'attends les détails. Je sais que c'est une priorité pour quelques députés fédéraux, mais je sais aussi qu'il y a des inquiétudes dans le quartier où le pont sera battu. Oui.
Merci.
Merci, Julien. Alice?
Hi. I understand that this announcement from the PC party as well as from the Liberals on this would be substantial. I suppose it would still, though, not cover operating costs, maintenance costs, which is substantial for an LRT system. Do you think that this is enough, or will you be looking for more money on the operating side?
Our first step would be after the election, if one of the parties that's promising to do this forms a government, then we would work with them on uploading the light rail system. Again, that's the single biggest thing that we can do to have a huge impact on our finances and a huge impact on public transit. So that would be our first priority. It would free up a lot of resources that we're currently spending now on capital costs and life cycle maintenance, or that we've budgeted to spend on those costs. So it would give us a lot more flexibility to operate the system. And it would also allow, from a bandwidth perspective, the mighty team at OC Transpo is stretched in a lot of directions because they're focused on operating a bus service and a train service. They're focused on addressing some of the issues that arose with phase 1 of light rail, and they're focused on building phase 2 and planning phase 3. That's a lot of different priorities, a lot of different files. It would allow OC Transpo to focus exclusively on running a great public transit system for the residents of Ottawa.
I noticed that the city manager and the chief financial officer are also here. Are you?
I noticed that too.
Yeah, are you willing to answer a quick question about this as well?
Yeah. Who would you like?
Either is fine, or both. I don't know. Yeah, it must be exciting, guys, right? Yeah, so to both Ms. Stephenson and to Mr. Rogers, I just wonder if you could tell us what exactly is this going to mean for the financial troubles that the city has had into the future on both the LRT and just transit in general?
I'm happy to start, and I'm sure that Cheryl can provide a few more details. I mean, I think the mayor spoke about it quite well in the sense that we've got pressures going into 30 years in terms of our capital expenditures as well as our day-to-day operating. So the upload is going to take pressure off of that, which is great, right? And it's going to give us some room to be able to maneuver and to become what we hope to be financially stable and sustainable in the future. Or if you have anything to add to that.
Nothing. I wonder then, just one specific question. In terms of the financial pressure that we have for this year, since we're still going through an election, this is going to take time and deliberations. Is this going to relieve any of that pressure?
Again, we'll have to look at the details of what that could look like. But I think if we're looking at a solution in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars over time, potentially billions of dollars of benefit to the city, then we can find our way through a short-term challenge that's in the tens of millions of dollars. We did get help from the federal government, which we hope we can apply to the 2025 budget, certainly can apply to the 2026 budget. So, the way I look at it is we could have gotten a small amount of help that would have gotten us through this year, or we can get significant, enormous help that addresses the systemic challenges that we're having in the budget. And if that's coming down the road, then I think it gives us the flexibility we need to get through the next year or two.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Jody Abowitz at CBC. Mayor, I'm wondering what you make of OSEG pushing forward on the proposal for Lansdowne 2.0 as a way to bring more events to Lansdowne when we are here, already seeing big sporting events like World Curling Championships come to town, and we're not sure about the fate of the Red Blacks being in town after 7 years. What do you make of them continuing the push towards Lansdowne 2.0?
This is a major piece of infrastructure in our community that's owned by the residents of Ottawa. It belongs to the people of Ottawa, and it's aging infrastructure. And I've been on a tour behind the scenes at the arena at TD Place, and some of that technology is older than I am, and I'm not a young man. So we need to invest in and enhance our infrastructure. It's not energy efficient. It's one of our least energy efficient buildings in the city. And we know already, we've heard from event organizers, they're not going to keep coming back to Ottawa to hold events in an aging facility. We're lucky we got the World Juniors. We're lucky we got the Men's Curling Championships. But those events are not coming back to Ottawa if we don't invest in more modern facilities going forward. We're going to have to do this at some point. The longer we wait, the more it's going to cost. We have an opportunity to do that now in a way that will work for the residents of Ottawa and will help us bring more events to the city and support the local economy. So I think this is the right time to do it.
OSEG did mention that they're expecting that this project, or anticipating it, could bring 1 million additional visitors to Lansdowne. How confident are you about the numbers this project can bring to Lansdowne when councillors did bring up other issues like transportation and like retail?
Look at the success of Lansdowne so far. It's attracting 4 million people to the site every year at what used to be a giant concrete parking lot with an arena and a football stadium that were falling apart. Now we have all kinds of events going on there. We heard today about the success of the Christmas market, bringing 400,000 people to Lansdowne over the course of a few weeks. I hear all the time from residents who love going to Lansdowne Park. They go to the movie theater, they go to the restaurants, they go to events that are happening there. It's not about a few football games or a few hockey games. It's about the site and about spending time there. My kids love to go there. We've been to many events there. So I see great potential for attracting more people to Lansdowne, and it's been a huge success already. Let's not forget that 10 years ago, there were people saying that it was a bad idea at that time and that nobody was going to come to Lansdowne Park because of all the transportation challenges. And yet we've been able to attract 4 million people a year to Lansdowne. So it's been a success, and I think that can only continue in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bonjour.
Maire. Je veux parler de la motion Brown pour
Oui.
encourager l'économie locale. Est-ce que c'est vraiment nécessaire? T'sais, on a aussi entendu que 92% c'est déjà local dans la région de la capitale. Est-ce que c'est vraiment nécessaire, l'importance de faire?
C'est nécessaire parce que je pense que les résidents d'Ottawa, même les meneurs de petites entreprises ici à Ottawa, veulent que nous faisons tout ce que nous pouvons faire pour l'aider l'économie d'Ottawa, l'économie du Canada. Alors, nous savons que il n'y a pas de certitude avec le président Trump. Même s'il n'y a pas des tarifs douaniers cette semaine, c'est quelque chose qui est possible à l'avenir proche ou en 2026, en 2027, n'importe quand. Alors, c'est nécessaire d'être prêt pour une guerre commerciale et nous devrons faire tout ce que nous pourrons faire pour aider l'économie d'Ottawa. Et c'est important de savoir qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire. Alors ça, c'est la direction au personnel de la ville.
Aussi, il y a eu un ajustement à la motion, ou un ajout à votre motion, à la motion Brown, pour vraiment encourager l'économie locale de la ville d'Ottawa, du centre-ville, du rural. Mais dans la motion, vous voulez aussi parler avec Maude Marquis-Bissonnette de Gatineau. Et de faire. Alors, comment est-ce que ça peut venir ensemble? C'est pas une chose et son contraire dans la même motion?
Nous sommes une région économique ici à la capitale nationale, Gatineau et Ottawa, même s'il y a une frontière provinciale entre les deux villes, c'est une région économique. Alors nous devrons travailler ensemble et je suis prête à travailler avec la mairesse de Gatineau pour trouver des solutions qui aident toutes les entreprises ici à Ottawa et à Gatineau et d'enlever les obstacles pour l'échange entre les deux villes et les deux provinces.
Merci.
Merci. Sure. What was that again? Yeah, I think it's important to remember that that President Trump can invoke tariffs at any time. It could happen, even if it doesn't happen in the next 30 days. It could happen in March. It could happen in 2026. It could happen in 2027. So we need to be ready. We need to understand where we're spending money and what some of the opportunities are to support the local economy and support the Canadian economy. We need to make sure we understand exactly what's going on with purchasing at the city and be ready to do everything we can. And I think it's really important for residents and business owners in Ottawa to know that their municipal government is doing whatever it can to support the local economy. Even if that's not a huge change and it's a small change, every little bit helps in a time like this. So if there's an opportunity to do more of buying local, buying Canadian, we'll do that.
Une petite dernière, Monsieur le maire. L'idée Metrolinx, est-ce que c'est votre idée? Est-ce que c'est le personnel de la ville qui est allé voir la province pour leur... Vous m'avez dit que le ministre des Finances aussi vous avait demandé « What do you need? » Est-ce que c'est vous qui avez dit « Faites donc que Metrolinx... » ou est-ce que ça vient de...
Alors, ça, c'est commencé pendant les discussions sur l'engagement que nous avons annoncé en mars de 2024. Alors, nous avons parlé au sujet de le transport en commun et j'ai dit, si vous voulez avoir beaucoup d'impact sur la ville d'Ottawa, sur le transport en commun, ça c'est une solution. Et je pense que c'est l'idée propre parce que c'est plus efficace d'avoir le système de transport en commun avec un organisme comme Metrolinx, avec beaucoup plus de ressources, beaucoup plus d'expérience. C'est mieux pour les finances de la ville d'Ottawa, c'est mieux pour les résidents d'Ottawa, et puis l'équipe AOC Transport peuvent se concentrer sur les trains et les bus, les opérations du système, pas sur les projets de construction et les conflits avec les entreprises internationales. Alors, c'était une suggestion et nous avons parlé souvent de cette idée pendant les 4 ou 5 mois passés dans l'automne de 2024 et franchement jusqu'au début de la campagne électorale. Alors, j'ai dit que c'est l'idée avec le plus important impact sur Ottawa. Merci.
We have time for a few additional questions.
Sur l'enjeu des tarifs, à quel point la situation actuelle représente un risque pour les finances de la ville qui sont déjà, on le sait, assez fragiles? À quel point c'est ça?
Les finances pour la ville?
À quel point l'entrée en scène de tarifs par les États-Unis représente quel genre de risque ça pose pour la ville, pour les finances?
Alors peut-être Cyril va avoir plus de détails, mais je pense que si les coûts augmentent au Canada parce qu'il y a une guerre commerciale entre le Canada et les États-Unis, ça sera une pression d'inflation sur le budget de la ville. Alors ça c'est mon inquiétude, c'est qu'il y aura des coûts qui augmentent parce que les prix augmentent pour toutes les choses dans une guerre commerciale comme cela.
Maybe Giuseppe. Yeah.
what would be the impact?
Yeah, how much of a threat, I guess, are this whole tariff situation for the city?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, about 92% of our local purchasing is done locally, to local vendors. So what we're doing now is we're reviewing all the impacts that we do have with our existing U.S. vendors, but then trying to understand the impacts that the supply chain will encounter with these tariffs, because supply and demand will ultimately impact pricing as well. So that's the work that we're undertaking to get a sense of that impact, and I'll report back throughout the year on that.
Okay.
On a completely different subject. So Councillor Dudas had put in a notice of motion today about X, and given what people see as it being quite a problematic platform at this point, would you support yourself and all city accounts moving off of that platform?
That's a tricky one. I'm going to speak with Councillor Dudas and explore it a bit further. I understand the motivation for the motion. At the same time, I think it's really important that we communicate with residents. And if you think about, for example, Ottawa Public Health and some of the campaigns that they run, I wouldn't, and I'm not sure that this motion would indicate that, but I wouldn't want to end up in a situation where there's important health information to be shared with the public, and we've prevented that from being shared on a particular platform that, whether we like it or not, whether we enjoy the conversation there or not, whether we like who owns it or not, there are people using it, and there are eyeballs there that would benefit from seeing that health information. So that's one example of the complexity of this. So we'll take our time to look at it and make sure we understand the implications of it. I'll say, for myself, as I think I've said before, I'm not a big fan of social media. We post there as a team, but I don't look at a lot of social media because I don't like the nature of the conversation there. But we have to recognize that a lot of people spend time there, and if we want to communicate with them, we have to go to where they are.